RocklandWorldRadio.com.
We put the rock back in Rockland.
RocklandWorldRadio.com.
I'm independent. You know it. You love it. You can't live without it. Rockland World Radio.
Give themselves an introduction.
All right, so I'm Caroline King. I usually do Out There Radio, but today I'm on In the Grooves, and we have our special guest.
Switching sides. Oh, am I introducing myself?
Yeah.
My name is Michael Eliron. I'm in a band called Dolly Spartans from New York City.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining us, man.
Absolutely.
Yes,
thank you for having me.
So let's first just preface this by talking about the occasion that we're all gathered here for, if when he wants to dive into that.
Like about every month I usually host like events where I have like artists come and play and like share their music, and it's really cool. And so tonight we have Dolly Spartans come and play.
Yeah, we're all really, really excited. We were just talking about it this morning how hype we are to be playing here. Yeah, and it seems like I checked out the other artists, and it's going to be a really good bill.
Oh, yeah.
This is a very nice place, so very happy to be here.
Yes, we're very happy to have you. All right, so let's dive into this.
Cool.
So let's just start with in the beginning. What inspired you to get into music? Like, who did you have around you growing up that really brought you?
Okay, this is a good question. I was basically surrounded by music my entire childhood, and my dad is a musician. He is a folk musician, and he had some success. He's actually performed with people like Bob Dylan and Elvis and other people, like even Woody Allen, I think, though I don't know how people feel about Woody Allen these days. Anyway, so yeah, and my mom studied music for a very long time, and so I guess as soon as I was born, I guess the goal is to get me as invested in music as or interested in music as possible, I should say. And I just have very vivid memories of like being 3 years old and like looking into there was this painting in my house, right? And there was like a little keyboard underneath it. It was kind of like on this like little desk, and I would run up to it as a little kid, and I'd like sing the Long and Winding Road, by the Beatles. And like Into This Mirror as if it were a music video or something, I don't know.
Wow,
I'm sorry.
No, you keep going.
And so growing up, I went to a music school for elementary, middle school. It was a school that kind of combined academic classes, and you would also take private lessons. You'd take music theory and music history and chorus, and it was there I began to study classical piano, and I learned all the things about music that I know now. So it gave me a lot of classical training and harmonic training and etc. And then I went to LaGuardia High School for I went for vocal music, but really I was mainly a part of the songwriting collective there called New Music Ensemble. Is an elective there for songwriters and stuff. So I've had a lot of musical interest for a while. It's kind of
a strong musical background too. It's very interesting to see that you had a classical training on the piano long before this.
Yeah. And so I studied piano for a while, and eventually I became really, really interested in the guitar, and it just seemed like there were so many sonic possibilities that came out of the guitar that sort of had me leaning towards it. And I still play piano. I played piano this morning, actually. Not as much, but there's something about the guitar that really got me into it. And I learned a lot of classical pieces, and so my first experience with writing was a lot of just composing random kind of improvising these things on the piano. and bit by bit, I started going more towards songwriting, and I think around 4th, 5th grade or something, got really obsessed with the Beatles, and they taught me a lot about what a good song is. So I think that's always been at play no matter what I'm writing, because like there's always the classical knowledge I know, whether or not it's kind of what makes for interesting harmonic progressions or what's good counterpoint or whatever, these qualities I could put into my music, whether it was consciously or not, and combining that with kind of the budding knowledge of kind of 20th century and 21st century music.
Like a pop sensibility or like more of...
Yeah.
It is very interesting. I always had this conversation with someone the other day where it's like, is it more about how something is written or the feeling you have while performing it,
Yeah. I think it's a mix of both, definitely.
Absolutely.
I mean, everyone gets a different thing out of music, I think. And some people are looking for the catharsis in it, and some people are looking for the craft.
Mm-hmm.
I think the best artists combine both. There are a lot of great artists who are very big into the emotions, and it's either very heavy or very small, and it's very, powerful in that it's coming straight from, the inside of the writer and what they're expressing and feeling and emoting. But the artist who can do that with a really well-crafted song with a lot of dynamic changes or a lot of just, you can tell that the thought is there. One of my favorite artists who does that actually is Mitski, and I was reading a lot about this actually. A lot of people go, "Oh, Mitski, she's so raw and like it just comes out of her," and I think she commented on this too. But like one thing when I had read someone saying that as well was that there's so much like. I mean, she went to Purchase, I think, for composing and stuff, and that's a lot of knowledge behind there. She knows exactly what she's doing. She knows exactly how to orchestrate these parts and use her knowledge to the most effect while pairing it with these really powerful lyrics and melodies. I mean,
Yeah, exactly.
Like yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, at least my goal as a songwriter is to kind of combine what I know and what I've learned with what I feel, I guess, or what I see.
And you can definitely tell, too, when songwriters are just spilling experience into something as opposed to someone who's just, going off the cuff of just trying to put something down.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
Now, if you don't mind backtracking a little bit, do you have any big connection or significance with the first stuff that you were putting out as a songwriter or anything?
With the first stuff I was putting out? Okay, the story behind that... Well, those songs were all written over a span of like 2-3 years. So all the songs that are on that first EP were written and recorded at different points in my life. So you can kind of hear what I was learning and discovering, I guess, taste-wise with it. Mm-hmm. I think in terms of... it was also I think a lot of that EP was me being really inspired by my environment, by the music that was in my environment. So a lot of those, there are a lot of, I guess, there's a lot of influence from a lot of the New York City guitar bands and stuff, and the stuff that was coming out of there. And the way I see that EP is it's not so much a reflection consistently of me and how I feel, but more like what I'm learning as I'm going along. And, I think the emotion lies more in some of the parts actually instrumentally than in the lyrics. I mean, I think the youngest I was when recording that EP was 14, and it, started out as just a bunch of songs. So it wasn't necessarily thought of as an EP until we were like, hey, let's release it. Yeah, I mean, if you look at that song, Tell Me, I have a very strong connection to that song. I think it's like, it was one of the easiest, it just came out, that really just came out of me, and recording-wise as well, it came along as we went, or it just kind of formed as we went along recording it. But a lot of the parts in that song, I guess guitar parts, I think I always get this nostalgic vibe from it. I always get this vibe that it makes me feel something looking back on it. That, and I guess, I mean, for me at least, knowing where and when I wrote the songs and stuff, each song does that at a certain point in the song. But that one especially just kind of, you know, it's one of my most vivid experiences, kind of expressing something subtly.
Yeah. Yeah, I have to say Tell Me is a really, really good track. Like,
Thanks so much.
It's very sophisticated, like, instrumentally, and it's really good. Actually, speaking of music that you've released, what is, like, the band working on currently? Like, are you guys working on any projects?
Yeah, well, we have an EP we've been working on for some time, and we're in the process of making it and finishing it up, and it's been a lot of fun to work on. We also really enjoy, like, we rehearse in the studio in Gowanus in Brooklyn, and we have recording capabilities, so sometimes we'll just record demos and stuff. It'll be a lot of fun, so I'll bring a song in, for instance, that I want to flesh out, and, you know, we'll record it for fun to see how it sounds. But yeah, we've got, I mean, a lot of songs, and we're working on a new EP, which is, I'm excited to really, you know, share and stuff.
Yeah, it sounds really exciting.
Thank you. We're going to play some songs from it tonight. We're going to play a good few, I think, depending. Yeah.
Good. All right. I do have a sort of a little bit of a question. So, like, outside of music, like what else do you do? Like, what kind of hobbies do you do that, like, kind of feeds back into, like, your music and, like, helps you grow as, like, an artist, like, creatively?
I think the biggest one is I just like writing in general, so I like to write things that aren't necessarily music related. I mean, I love poetry. I love studying poetry and, you know, reading and writing it. I think it's cathartic, and it's just, I'm really a fan of words and how words get used well. So my favorite artists, for instance, are those who can, you know, really make their way with a sentence. And my favorite books are more in regards to the language than they are about the plot or, you know, something like that. Like, my favorite writing is just stuff that doesn't necessarily have to be direct, but as long as there's a lot of language that's being used well, I guess. So writing is one thing. I really like going to museums, and you know, I really like art in general, and I do some art. I'm not as prolific with that as I am in music, because just who I am. And I don't know, I like to do a lot of things. I like to read a lot, I guess. I've been a little bit slacking in that department, but I have a bunch of books I bought like a week ago or so that I'm gonna take a weekend and just go through.
Everyone's in that same boat.
Yeah.
It's an ever-growing stack of stuff that we
It's
never
so so easy just to not, like, I have like a whole stack from like 2015 that I still, you know, have not even remembered. And now, you know, maybe after the show tonight, if I'm not dead, tired, I mean, I'm gonna read them. But yeah, I mean, I like to occupy myself with things that are also kind of artistically related. But music definitely takes up a lot of my mind.
That's fair.
What particular, like, growing up, what influences did you find from these people who were so talented in placing words so precisely and able to tell stories so vividly?
It just inspired me to do the same, essentially. I mean, seeing someone, like, you know, when you read lyrics, for instance, or you hear a song and, like, one line specifically just gets you. Like, not even in a sense of relatability, but more just, like, that's, like, a special line. And that feeling is something that I've always really admired in artists. The same way that if you take lyrics from, like, a website and you just put it on a piece of paper and read it as it is, and if it, you know, holds its own, that's another thing. I mean, yeah, it just inspires me to, you know, do what I can with lyrics. So a lot of times I'll mull over things and see, is this the best way I can say it? Sometimes it isn't, but it can get the point across. You know, but I try to do the best I can because of the lyricists and writers I was inspired by.
Do you have any specifically that really, like, resonate with you?
Yeah. For one, for a while I was really into Morrissey, or it's the Smiths, and I know the connotation of that, but yeah, I really just admired how. I mean, I don't know anyone else who writes lyrics like him. I mean, there's something about his lyrics that just are so, in my mind, brilliant. Sometimes they're ridiculous, but I think most of the time they're brilliant. I guess the same with back like early in high school. Ian Curtis was another one, and it was just really cool how he'd take lyrics out of a bag, for instance, and he'd just cut them up and take them out of a bag, and they would still hold their own really well. And I guess he'd edit them a little bit, but it's still impressive. And I could go on about artists like that, Tom York too. I really like. Now he's better than Nick Drake and stuff.
Yeah, that was who I was thinking of specifically when you're talking about like what they have compared to when I was playing, because it's like I think I put on In Rainbows on like the turntable the other day, and I actually sit and looked at the lyrics, and I was just like, it's so interesting how he not like vocally just performs in such a beautiful way, and then you're reading these lyrics and you're like, oh my god, this is...
Yeah, they just like each line of Tom York's, at least from a certain point onward, has a meaning and a depth to it. Like each line has a reason to be there, I think. And like I recently I've been going back and revisiting Radiohead a lot, and I revisited OK Computer a bunch, and it's just like you see how that really begins to develop there, which is really cool, and how like Airbag just kind of freaks me out because there was some stuff I had missed, and seeing the narrative of it and kind of how it's cryptic but still holds its own and proves a point is really cool. I just like how cryptic those lyrics are, but that they still kind of punch you right where it counts.
Absolutely. And I mean, it's just like I don't want to I don't want to seem like I'm bragging, but I was able to see them at a Madison Square Garden. And
yeah, I was too. I went both days. Yeah, that's why. That's why.
Oh my god,
incredible!
It was the best show ever. Oh my god.
I was there the first day. I gave I had the other ticket, and I gave it to a buddy of mine.
What section were you?
I was all the way in the nosebleeds. Like I grabbed these tickets.
Oh
I found,
my god!
The cheapest things online. I was like, I just need to see Tom York.
Yeah, like just to be in the same room.
Yeah.
Like I saw Adams for Peace a couple years ago, and that was like my thing. I was like, okay, I'm in the same room as Tom York and Flea and like all these cool people. Like it's good. But yeah, so they, Radiohead were a big lyrical influence as well as musical. I think just in exploring texture. But outside of I guess musical artists, my favorite poet is a guy called Delmore Schwartz, and I don't know. There's just a thing about the way he writes that's really brilliant. I know he inspired Lou Reed a lot, and I think Lou Reed wrote an ode to Delmore Schwartz, which just kind of goes to show like Lou Reed also has great lyrics, and I saw the influence right away when I learned about Delmore Schwartz. I learned about Lou Reed liking him, etc. Yeah, I mean, I just like a lot of poetry and that way of using imagery and just kind of blunt sentences, like just using it well is just something that's an art in its own that's underappreciated, I think.
Absolutely.
Yeah, for sure. But so you were mentioning earlier how the environment that you were in, like being in New York City, has like influenced like your music. Like how would you describe like fitting in with like the New York scene going on now? Like how would you define what's going on, and like how do you fit in?
What's going on is it's all just kind of chaos. Like it's just like Pandora's box of bands, like everywhere, And so there is so many bands and so many different sounds in New York, and it's great. Mm-hmm. I really like it. I like ending up at a gig and like finding a band that I'll listen to for like a week or like a month or whatever, and you wouldn't have thought so if you hadn't played with them. And I think that's something that's really cool about New York. But I mean, it's also a huge place, so it's always a thought about. There's always that, how are you gonna stand out, set yourself apart or whatever. And I guess the best thing to do is kind of just play. Like I don't know. So the sound-wise, there are so many things going on that I couldn't really narrow it down.
Right.
Like if you go to Shea Stadium on any given day, Shea Stadium in Brooklyn.
Yeah, I've been there in like the past couple weeks.
like, you don't know how the bill's gonna mesh, so it's really cool. You'll see like a really, I guess, for lack of a better term, grunge-inspired band with like a synth pop band, like a surfy. It's just like being in New York gives you so many influences to kind of better yourself and expand your musical palette. And it also just kind of inspires you to kind of get all these people to see you and just kind of make this community thrive or whatever, by working, meeting new people and all that. I don't know if that was a coherent sentence, but
No,
yeah.
it absolutely was. But
Thank you.
yeah, so that's really cool. Like, I love going to like New York and like checking out all these gigs, and you see like a lot of creativity.
Yeah.
That's like really nice to see. Like, how would you feel? Because like I've like had this conversation with like literally millions of musicians about like the future of like the music industry. Are you one of those people that like believe that like everything has already been done and it's just reinventing what's already been done, or do you think there's like more out there?
I always change my mind about it. It's like every day, like one day I'll wake up and I'm like, what's the point? Like, this band has done everything. Like, I don't know. I mean, there are new sounds that can be discovered, but it's kind of like, I mean, you don't know they're there until they kind of pop up, so you'll never know, I guess. But it's interesting because I think a lot has been done, and there's a lot of revival music and art and culture. But I do think there are a lot of bands that are unique in their niche or whatever. Like, I don't think just because you're reminiscent of a decade or sound doesn't make you different. Because, I mean, first of all, there are only so many notes in a scale and so many frequencies and so many ways you can, orchestrate something or arrange something. So, yeah, I mean, there is a lot of repetition, I guess, or not repetition, but a lot of common sounds or things that you hear kind of from time to time. But I think a lot of the innovation is in how it doesn't necessarily have to be in sound, let me put it that way, because if you hear a song that's structured in this way, it's like, what, and it could still just be like a traditional like 2 guitars, bass drum, or whatever. But they're doing something that like, you wouldn't expect that upon the listen, and that's a form of doing something different, I think. And there are a lot of ways I think you can still experiment. I mean, ask me in a week, maybe I'll say the opposite. But it's such a gamble. You just don't know. But I think that there is still some hope in finding new things. I don't know.
Great. I know we both had this question. So how did you guys get the band name Dolly Spartans? We just have to know.
It was all right. It just kind of happened. I don't know, because first of all, I like I said, I like words and I like wordplay. So I think at some point in life, I had written down Dolly Spartans, and I was like, I want to use this for something. I like wordplay. Dolly Parton is badass. I don't know. And so eventually when it came to, starting to really do stuff, and I'd always wanted to be in a band, that for some time I was operating solo. I don't know. And it just, when it came to pass, it was Dolly Spartans. It was just that. And for a while, I thought about the name, and I was like, is this, and, I guess it stuck. So I like it now, yeah.
Yeah, it's a really cool name.
Thank you very much.
I really
Definitely
like
sticks, man.
it. It does.
Thanks.
There's something to it.
I think someone had sent me a message like, oh, this is like, it sounds like a roller derby name. And I was like, cool, yeah, roller derby's cool. Well, fuck you, I don't know. Yeah.
So you were talking about being a solo artist for a while and then being the band. Is there any specific story of how everyone came together in the current lineup?
In the current line, so yeah, there's been a bunch of different lineups, and this current lineup just happened very luckily. I'm just very grateful because, I mean, now we're a real. There's a clicking that's happening now. There's a togetherness there that's really special, and so my bassist Jesse and I have a lot of mutual friends, and he went to Purchase, and I was gonna go to Purchase, and he was like not feeling Purchase. He was not feeling the environment, which I also wasn't. And so he was, he dropped out, started interning at Capture Tracks and interning at Chase Stadium, where he still works, which is very cool. Second home, yeah, represent. And so one day I was at this ground control show with like some people from Purchase I know. And I was like, oh, hey, how's Jesse doing? We're looking for a new bassist. Our bassist had just gone to college. And he was like, yeah, I think Jesse's around. I knew he played bass in a band. And so literally out of the blue, I just messaged him because I just thought he was a very cool guy. I knew, he was good at bass, and he just seemed like a great fit, I guess. And so I was like, crossing my fingers. I was like, hey, man, I don't know if this is by any chance possible. Would you want to join this band? He was like, hell yeah, man, let's do it. That's great. Yeah, I love you guys. That's awesome. And so it's been really cool. Our drummer has been there since the beginning. It's been me and Steven, the drummer, through everything. So we like brothers. We're all like brothers, but we go back to like 2013 or something. And Richard is our guitarist from London, who is awesome, and we were very lucky. I had been avoiding Craigslist like the plague. I was like, no, Craigslist is for murderers and shit. Like, I don't know. You don't know what you're going to get. And so literally we were like, okay, well, let's just put out an ad and see what happens. All right. Okay, so Dolly Spartan's looking for, guitars, whatever. First person to pop up emails us, sounds really cool. And it was just a perfect fit. It was just perfect. Like, I don't think the stars could have aligned more. And ever since, we've just been really, really tight. And we're like a family now, for sure. And it's just been great. I don't know. We've been doing a lot this year ever since we got this full lineup. And I don't know, the future's bright.
Wow.
Yeah.
So I take it you guys have been touring a lot and like moving around?
We've been playing a lot of shows, yeah. We've got a bunch coming up. I'll probably, I guess towards the end I'll talk about those more.
Right.
But yeah, we've, gone out to Philly, which was a fun time. We have gone out to Troy, which we're going out to again in like 3 days. We've been playing a lot of New York shows, just trying to, just play there as much as possible and just play everywhere. So yeah, our goal is to kind of maximize the amount of shows we're playing.
Yeah. So do you guys have like any like cool tour stories? Like any like
cool
weird
tour stories?
experiences?
Let me think. I mean, I think a lot of the experiences just come more from just the places, more so than specific stories about the places. So, I don't know. I think when we went to Philly, it was really, really fun. We got to play with 2-Inch Astronaut and our friends in Front Yards and 2 other really cool bands, Hello Shark and Shelf Life. And that was just a really fun time. And I don't know. I remember a bunch of drunk people approaching me like, hey, you guys are really cool. You guys just stay. Like, they were just like, just stay with your mind on the prize. You got it. And I was like, yeah, cool. That's what I thought I was doing that. Yeah, cool. But that was a really cool place also. It was called Underground Animal. So anyone who ever goes to Philly should check that place out. And they had like an upstairs where you could just kind of chill, and it was just a very nice vibe. So I think for me, it's not so much about this, like there aren't as many stories per se, but it's just about vibes. So I remember a good vibe more than anything. Like we're about to play in RPI College. The place also had a really nice vibe. It's a lot of fun. I don't know. I mean, I think there will definitely be a lot of more interesting stories to come, and I'm probably blanking out on like something really, really, really funny and like. But for now, I can just tell you that much. It's not so much stories and just good feeling. Good feeling.
Do you have any recollection of like crowds that had like the most energy, or like you had the most fun with those shows? A lot. That
Philly show was fun. We played Webster Hall a bunch, and that has been the most. That like has been by far some of the most fun shows that we've done, because like at certain points there'd be a lot of people there, which is the best feeling, and we'd get to the last song and like we'd be like, you know what, whatever, and so everyone would come onto the stage, like half of the crowd would come onto the stage and just kind of jam out to the song with us. And we're actually playing there September 24th which is awesome, with Nina Diaz from Girl in a Coma.
Right.
And that's going to be really, really fun. And our friends in Foam are playing that as well, Modern Diet.
Wow, those are some cool bands.
Really cool bands, yeah. And so Webster Hall has just been like a place where we really started out, and that was where some of our best shows have been, because they're always, just a really, really fun time, and it's just a really nice place, and the sound is great. I mean, I love Webster Hall. I don't know. I like it a lot.
Wow, that's great.
Yeah. I mean, I'm trying to think. I mean, there are a lot. We've had a lot of fun crowd experiences. Like, we played a show the other day at this place in Brooklyn called The Gateway, which I had actually not really known about until then. I think it's kind of new, but it was cool. The guy who was at the door we had played with at Shea Stadium, which was a lot of fun. He was in a band called Vominos, who are very cool. And so we are last, and this show's going really late, so it's like 12:30 when we go on. And we're like, we're sound checking and stuff, and like, we don't know what's gonna happen. And we hadn't played in like a month or something. And so we're like, screw it. Steven starts doing which we know as Tears for Fears, like jamming out on Tears for Fears, everybody wants to roll it. So I start playing the riff from Tears for Fears, and everybody, there's a downstairs and an upstairs, and we're playing upstairs. Everyone from downstairs runs up to the upstairs, and everyone is just freaking out that we're playing Tears for Fears, and that's like one of my favorite songs. I love Tears for Fears. Everybody wants to rule the world, and that whole show, I think like everyone in the crowd was either just really into it or really a little bit drunk or something, but it just made for a really fun vibe. Like a dude there kind of like, I was like, yo, anyone have water on the stage? And some dude just ran and got us waters. Like, it was just really nice, really good vibe there. So that's a fun crowd story, I guess.
That's awesome, man.
Wow, that's really cool.
Besides Tears for Fears, are there any other wild covers that you guys have launched into?
Because I laugh because we just so I said we recorded practice sometimes and stuff. So we were preparing for that show. We started jamming out. Like I think Richard, the guitarist, had started just playing a riff, and we started grooving into it, and eventually it just turned into is it called 1,000 Miles or 100 Miles? No,
the Proclaimers.
No. Vanessa Grante. And we started kind of doing this really kind of like funky version of it, just kind of like, why not? And a long time ago, we did another one. We've done a few really funny ones. We've done the Tears for Fears one a couple of times, just kind of like because we were sound checking, and it just turned into a cover. We have played, some old lineups have played, we played American Boy by Estelle, which I really want to do.
Oh my god.
And which is one of the best pop songs of all time. I'm sorry.
God, I have to agree with you.
Yeah, I mean, it just is. Everything
God.
about it. And I didn't know actually that will.i.am made the beat originally, the progression and whatever. So we were playing that song, and we have this friend who's a rapper. And we're like, all right, dude, why don't you come up here? And so we start jamming, and he's rapping for 10 minutes or whatever. We just don't even care at this point. And it was just great. It was just a lot of fun. And actually, because of that American Boy cover, I took, there was a little breakdown that we did. It was just kind of like, and I used it in one of the songs that's going to be on this new EP. Because I was like, oh, this is missing a part. And I remembered the line.
That's awesome.
And I did it. So that's a story about why Estelle is the best. That song. I don't know a lot of other Estelle.
I don't think anyone really does.
It's unfortunate. I think she does. Not even a guilty pleasure. 100% just I would.
Just pleasure.
Yeah, pure pleasure. Pure pleasure.
Another thing I want to touch on before we head out of here is it was really interesting. She was telling me that you're into the Dark Prism soundtrack and that you actually wrote some stuff.
Yeah. Or I wrote the theme song for it.
That's awesome.
Which we're actually gonna. Oh, I shouldn't spoil it. I don't know. But we learned it yesterday just for this thing, because we really had been talking for months about we should learn that song. And so now we're gonna do it. And hopefully it'll come out lit. But yeah, so that song. Dylan Greenberg, the director, and I have a mutual friend, who went to LaGuardia with me, or goes to LaGuardia. And he asked me, he was like, hey, do you want to write a song for this movie? And I was like, yeah, sure. And I wrote the song. I mean, I'd gotten a vibe of what the movie's like, and I wrote it, pretty quickly, recorded it, kind of 1, 2, 3, and just sent it to her. And I was like, okay, Dylan, here you go, yeah. And I didn't know about the whole Mac DeMarco thing. So I was like, this is so funny, once the trailer came out, people kept commenting, like, oh, what's the song in this trailer, or whatever, and they're like, oh, it's Dark Prism, and I was like, wow, okay, cool. So that was a fun time. I mean, I've always really been interested in writing things specifically for movies, which, that is kind of like, it works as a standalone song, but I've always had a dream of, being like Johnny Greenwood-esque in, being able to do the band thing, but also writing soundtracks and stuff. But one day,
I love writing. I love writing music soundtracks for movies that don't even exist, but I'll write screenplays to it, and I'll get songs.
That's so cool.
Embed them so
That's
I can
awesome.
combine some of my favorite things.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, because definitely music reminds me a lot of moments and kind of things that happen, or visuals or whatever. I've recently been trying to cut down on how much I listen to music on the street, just because I think it enhances my walking around. And so, writing for a movie would be, the pinnacle of that kind of, I don't know if I'd call it a sixth sense, but, just putting music to visuals.
Did you find that process of writing specifically for a movie a lot different from just standard songwriting, or was there...
I definitely... Well, since it was a theme song, I knew that it should just kind of be a song, but I definitely wanted to keep in mind the tone and style of the movie. So I had actually written something different for the movie initially, but I was not really going anywhere with it, and I was screwing around because and I had come up with the central progression of the song. I was like, oh, this is even better than screw what I was just doing, and so that just kind of captured the vibe of it. Because I think, I saw the movie, and I think what people get out of it, it's very, I don't know if trippy is the right word, but it's based on based on Bihar, Trauma Studios and all those movies. And so I think what I wanted to get was this kind of trippy, disorienting thing, as much as I could possibly. That's not usually the way I write, but I mean, I write a lot of different kinds of things, so it kind of just happened and it worked.
Yeah, I saw the movie, and then I listened to the song, and I was like, yeah, this is perfect. This fits in really well with the movie.
Actually, at a show the other day, this Gateway show I was talking about, someone had come up to me and was like, hey, I really, I'm here in Brooklyn. I came from Poland, and he's been living here in Brooklyn a few months. Shout out to this dude. He was like, I really, really like Dark Prism. I really, like every aspect of it. I think it fits perfectly. And it's funny because to me, it's like, oh yeah, this is a song I wrote and it fits well, but I think I understate the song or whatever, kind of underrepresent. I don't know what the word is, but yeah. So that was a fun writing experience for sure, and one of the most effortless ones I think, which is interesting to me because I imagine myself having a harder time with that kind of requirement or something guideline.
Yeah, it's just kind of a perfect storm of everything came together.
Yeah, that's the best one that happened.
All right, so before we go, I just want to know, we should tell everyone, how we can find more about the Dolly Spartans, social media and all of that.
Yeah, definitely follow us on all the social media ever. Hear me say stupid things on Twitter. Watch me post some things on Instagram. Definitely Instagram. I love Instagram. And follow us on Facebook, like Dolly Spartans. Follow us on Instagram and Twitter. We're going to start... We have a Snapchat that I forgot the access to, but we're going to start using it. And everyone should definitely come down to these new shows. I'll tell you the dates if that's cool.
Yeah, go for it. Absolutely.
So, we have one August 26th in Troy at RPI, which is going to be great. Hodera's playing and a bunch of other cool bands. 27th, Mercury Lounge, 27th of August. We're playing Trans Pecos September 21st with Sodium Beast and No Ice and High Pony, which is cool. And I think, I'm really, really excited for the show September 24th, this Webster Hall show. It's a Blue and Lucky show. Nina Diaz from Girl in a Coma, Our Buds in Foam, Modern Diet, and I feel like I'm forgetting one, but I don't know. Either way, come to the show because it's going to be awesome. Who is it? Oh, yeah, Demi. Oh, my God. I feel like an asshole. Demi, my close friend from school, and I'm working on, I'm co-producing her EP right now. She's really, really cool, and it's going to be great lineup, yeah. She kicks ass, and all the bands kick ass. Nina Diaz, Foam. I'm going to just keep saying it, but definitely come to that show if you want to go to all of them. Bring your friends. What?
Blue and Lucky kicks ass.
Yeah, Blue and Lucky kicks ass. Blue and Lucky is the
agree.
bill that is putting the whole thing together.
If there's one thing you take away from this podcast, it's Blue and Lucky kick ass.
Absolutely.
Yeah, definitely. I was going to try to say something, but I don't know.
But no, that's great. Thank you for coming on.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me. You know, it's really, I love doing this stuff. I love talking to people.
I know, yeah. It's been really awesome. Thank you. All right.
Cool. Check out Dolly Spartans.
Yes. All right.
Oh, Bandcamp.
All right. That's it. Do you have a SoundCloud?
We have a SoundCloud. I don't use SoundCloud really, but the stuff is up there, or at least the first EP is. I don't know what else is. But definitely Bandcamp. Definitely get our stuff through Bandcamp and iTunes, and we're on Spotify and et cetera, et cetera. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That's
so
true. Out there's going to be the first to receive this new EP we're working on.
Right. So make sure to tune into
definitely
Out There
check that out.
these next coming weeks.
Literally, Dolly Spartans' social media. I think there aren't many other results aside from Dolly Spartans. I mean, like you said, pretty, I don't know. Good name choice. Go, Michael. I don't know. Okay.
No, that's great.
Yeah.
All right. Awesome.
Cool.
Okay.
It's not just radio, it's Rockland World Radio. RocklandWorldRadio.com.
Hey, this is Jordan Rudis of Dream Theater, and you're listening to RocklandWorldRadio.com.